There's a history lesson in the music of singer-songwriter Richard Blair. In his new album, From the Streets of Truckee, he brings to life the Sierra Nevada town of Truckee as it was in the late 1800s. And from the songs Jaboom Street Barbershop to Old Highway 40, he sings about it. Lately, he's also been acting out some of the scenes. He's in our studio. And Richard, great to have you here on Insight.
Yeah, this is awesome. It's great to be here.
Truckee isn't your birth home, but it's been your home for a long time. And I guess you're not only inspired but curious about it?
I've been there almost 30 years or so, and it's just been a area that's steeped in history. We come there kind of skiing, but every subdivision and development has got the names of some sort of old historical connection, and sometimes people don't really realize where those all come from. So it's been really great to write songs about Truckee's history and kind of keep it in everybody's awareness, or try to keep the stories alive.
And folks seem to really love your music. I heard that your October show sold out right away. The November show this Sunday sold out right away.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think that the Truckee folks are extremely proud of their heritage, and putting that to music and a little bit of imagery with the Truckee Historical Society and some of the other folks dressed up as characters in between the songs during the sets, just sort of made it a really great show.
Well, tell me some of the stories. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, there's all kinds of stuff, like you said, about the barbershop. Tunnel number 6 is one of the long tunnels up there that was solid granite, and the challenges that the miners had getting through that. A lot of lumber mills in the area that are now gone. They're just subdivisions. So trying to keep those stories in everybody's forefront. People like Snowshoe Thompson, who used to deliver the
Right.
mail. I mean, people probably heard about him, but
Yeah.
I mean, the original Iron Man, geez, that guy was really something. And there's towns like Boca that used to be a mecca of ice harvest and lumber and the famous Boca Brewery, and now it's just wind in the sage. It's kind of this. Let me do a verse and a chorus here. It's kind of a. Along the Truckee River, a town did grow from a railroad camp under the alpenglow. From the mouth of the river, Boca got its name, a stop for the transcontinental train. And everybody knew there was something to gain, but they cut all the timber till it was all gone. A town burned down and the people moved on. There's nothing left but unmarked graves and the wind in the sage where a town once lay. Only wind in the sage where a town once lay. This is all that's left, is just wind in the sage. And people drive by it on Highway 80 every day and would never know that the town was there, a bustling brewery and a lumber mill. So I'm not really a historian, but I'm trying to keep those stories alive, and people can dig into them as they please and research them farther.
Well, the folk music style that you perform in, and even the sound of your voice, lends itself so much to the storytelling. James, our producer, and I both like the Jaboom Street Barbershop song.
Well, yeah, it was the hub that, in the city or in a busy, bustling town, it was this particular Jaboom Street Barbershop was a barbershop, a bathhouse, a gambling casino, and you could get any girl you wanted. So it was a one-stop shop. It was just you could get anything you wanted there. Once a week, the men would ride to town for a hot bath and a shave. A leather strap kept the razor sharp. It was the best a man looked in days. Well, they'd wait their turn for the barber's chair, leather back and padded seat. They're talking about local politics or the gunfight in the street. It was a one-stop shop to make you feel like a king. A straight-edge razor would shave anything. You kept one eye open and your hand on a gun, because all lathered up you couldn't trust anyone. Hey, it was the spot in town where everybody gathered. That's where you
The
got your
picture
news.
you paint is so specific too. I feel like I can see it. Like,
And that's the goal. I want to bring those old stories to life. And
well, you're doing that in a way with the performances too, which is a dimension that you've added. And you're not staging a gunfight, but you are using actors for some of the scenes.
yeah, the regulators, which are guys that do gunfight reenactments, they come into the room, one across the room, the other on the other side of the room, and they reenact this story about the duel. A sheriff that is kind of the good guy, and the deputy who is kind of the sheriff of the vigilantes. And so he's not the bad guy; he's just trying to clean up the town, but he kind of gets a little out of hand. Anyway, there's a dueling personalities there. They both have a gunfight, and the sheriff gets shot. It's a famous story about Truckee, and people have kind of heard about it. I'm just trying to keep it in the forefront. But they come into the room and they point their guns at each other, and it's a kind of a gunfight thing. They take the fight outside. You need to take this outside, and in the dark of the night, through the windows in the Cottonwood restaurant where the show is at, you see the gunfire. So they actually do the
great
fight outside, so to speak, and it's a pretty good visual when you got black powder guns going off and the muzzle blast, and then we start the next song. So every song has a short skit and a little imagery from whether it was a gunfight, whether it's ladies that are dressed walking down a street, whether it's a miner or a Chinese guy, and that adds to the imagery, not a long acting skit like a Broadway paint your wagon. It's not like that at all. It's about the imagery and then a song. A little imagery and a song.
Richard Blair is talking about his album From the Streets of Truckee and the performance that has been happening at the Cottonwood restaurant. And I think you're thinking about one in December, too, aren't you?
By popular demand, all the people that missed the second one are now, I'm getting the emails and the phone messages and texts.
What a great problem.
Sold out. So we're going to do a Christmas show. Well, not a Christmas show, a show maybe at Christmas time, and maybe change it up a little bit to kind of, fit the season. But it's really a cool honor to be part of this whole thing that's kind of just got wings all on its own. And I have to thank the Truckee folks and the spirit of the Truckee stories that are just sort of pushing this thing along.
You give Mary Lou Cooper credit for the inspiration.
Yeah,
that story?
I write songs all the time, and I've recorded other CDs, and it's basically the same kind of music. And but I wrote a couple about Truckee history, the one about the duel, the gunfight, and she came up to me and said, those are really cool songs. You need to do more of that. And it was something that just struck a chord, and I was in a point where I was kind of getting a little bit of writer's block, and I'm looking at Truckee's history, and I have all this information laid out right in front of me as a possibility for songwriting. So I just dug into that history that was there, matched it up with melodies that I had in my head or were creating, and it was the perfect marriage of inspiration and a creative exercise and just songwriting.
Well, track number 1 on the album is The Duel, and we've referred to it a couple times. So would you play some of it?
Oh, sure. Let's see. It goes, let's see, maybe I'll just do the, here we go. Jacob Teeter was New Jersey born. He rode a horse out west. He didn't sail around the Horn. He settled in a lawless California town. Rough and tumble Truckee, gunfights all around. And then the miners started coming from miles around, passing through Truckee, Virginia city bound. At 26 years old he found a badge on his chest, keeping law and order in town. That from Russell Valley down to Boca Town, there's no room for two kind of law in this town. Teeter started drinking at the Capitol Saloon. Reed walked in and there was trouble real soon. And trouble there was, he walked into the saloon, and the deputy had been getting away with all kinds of stuff. They never could pin it on him, and the sheriff got fed up. Well, there you go, drinking and guns. And the sheriff walked into the Capitol Saloon, taking the law into his own hands, trying to settle a score with this guy, and his first shot missed. We shouldn't have been shooting at him anyway.
But that was Truckee.
But that was Truckee back then, rough and tumble Truckee.
Yeah.
Well, the deputy jumped up, so, he defended himself and shot the sheriff dead right there on the spot. Well,
True story.
It didn't go over. It's a true story. It didn't go over very well. He lived like a hermit for the rest of his life. He kind of was outcast and ostracized, and he died a lonely man on the river as a hermit living with one of the call girls and the from the saloons. It was an interesting twist.
Richard, I love that this is a homegrown project. You used Truckee musicians. You recorded in Russell Valley, which was just in the song.
Yep.
And your narration is done by a Nevada County supervisor?
Yes, Ted Owens.
Yeah.
He narrates the people coming in. He's got a great gift of making that all work. So he cues them up as they come in and cues them out. And everything about it is Truckee homegrown. The guitars that I record, these are all guitars that I build in my shop. So it's it's Truckee music recorded in locally on locally built guitars about local stories, and I'd have to say it is truly Truckee homegrown.
Wow. Well, just give me a little accompaniment here as we wind down the segment, because it's just so lovely to hear you play.
I've got one that some of these stories we used to hear about when we come up in the car with my dad. And the imagery we'd see, he wouldn't so much tell us the stories, but you'd see the things. So this is called Highway 40, and it's about being in the back seat of my dad's old Caddy, coming up old Highway 40, coming up to Donner Lake, and seeing the history laid out in front of you. So subliminally, you're going to get it. Whether you hear the stories, you see it. Riding in the backseat of Dad's old car, rolling down the road, Donner seems so far. Highway 40, I got a ways to go. On that old highway we would ride, life passing by through the window side. Highway 40, we got a ways to go. Highway 40, got a ways to go. Us kids are in the backseat and we're ready to go. Highway 40, got a ways to go. Us kids are in the backseat and we're ready to go.
Richard Blair, his album is From the Streets of Truckee. Thanks so much. Have fun on Sunday. Thanks for the conversation. Come back and play more for us sometime,
I'd love to. It was great being your guest.
Oh, we have more information on our website, and do let us know if that December show happens, okay?
I'll do that.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.